What is going on? Welcome inside the Red Mile Rundown. This is episode 42, and happy September to you all. I am your host, John Easthope, and alongside me, as always, is my co-host, Robert Munich. How are we doing today, Robert?
Doing great. Happy Labor Day. Long weekend to everybody out there. Go Stampeders. Now, we're recording this on Monday morning before the Labor Day Classic, so hopefully everything goes well for the Stamps today, but I got a good feeling about today's game.
I'm confident in saying it was a great Stampeders win. I'm very confident in that going into today. I think the Stamps have actually really turned a good corner for me. They've both sides of the ball have been playing extremely well football. When Vernon Adams shows up to these games and is available to play in these games, the Stampeders are a different team, and it looks like he's going to play in this Labor Day Classic. All due respect to what the Elks are doing, besides the dumb name. They've had a really good hot streak, a couple of nice wins in a row for them, but the Stampeders, I think, are on a different level. I think them and the Rough Riders are definitely the best in the class of the CFL, and I think we're in for a heck of a battle no matter how it shapes up today for the Stampeders and the Elks.
Yeah, like that. The Stampeder defense has been fantastic, which is shocking because they brought in 12 brand new starters.
Yeah, right.
A new D coordinator, like they've been incredible. VA, man, the thing I love about VA is just like that big play ability. Like pretty much the last time that we had a quarterback that could do what VA is doing was Bo Levi Mitchell, and that was like the late 2010s. Like we're talking like 2016, 17, 18. But like Vernon Adams' ability just to bomb balls down the field, like 40, 50-yard bombs, throwing those for touchdowns. Like it's incredible to watch. And man, he has completely turned around this franchise. It's so much fun to see. So I'm pumped for today's game. I think it's gonna be great.
As an Oregon Duck fan as well, I've watched Vernon Adams Jr.'s career quite closely because he's a former Duck, and I've loved his game from then till now. And I think he's really embraced the CFL as well, knowing that his NFL dreams are probably not going to happen. And I like when quarterbacks come to this league, dive into it head first and know that this is where they're going to play. This is what they're going to do. And they just take this league by storm. And he's been a great CFL vet for a number of teams and exactly what the Stampeders need here. And a little shout out here to Dave Dickinson as well, because you change over your entire defense plus a coordinator and you get that much buy-in. That's a lot of credit to the head coach, in my opinion, as well, that I think he took a lot of heat last year and the year before for how this franchise was going and what direction they were doing. He's done a phenomenal job bringing the right guys and putting the right guys in spots to be successful and to win. And I'm excited for this game today as well as you are, Robert. It's September, Robert. You know what that means? Football. Fall's right around the corner here. And in just a couple of weeks, we actually have live Flames preseason games. How excited are you for those?
Number one, I'm pumped just to have the NFL back.
Yes, me too.
This summer, it's been a long one. I mean, watching the Blue Jays has been a ton of fun, and covering them has been a ton of fun. So that's definitely helped. But man, I'm ready for some NFL football. Can't wait for Thursday night, and then. Yeah, I mean, I think it's September 21st is the first preseason game. It's the old split squad against the Edmonton Oilers. So, yeah, man, it's coming up quick here. I'm starting to get pretty excited.
Yeah, it's just under 3 weeks away from that first preseason game. We're just 2.5 weeks away from training camp opening up. It's been a wet summer. It's been a pretty much boring summer besides baseball. Like there's not a lot going on in the hockey world. So I'm glad football's back. Go Chiefs. Glad to see that league kicks off this week, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. But I'm very excited for training camp opening up in a few weeks here, Robert.
We got the rookie tournament too. I think the Flames and Oilers are going to play a couple of rookie games. So we'll see a bunch of those guys too, which will definitely be interesting. So I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, no, good point by you. I've almost forgot about those because everyone was looking forward to Penticton for all these years, and that's not happening this year. But the Flames, Oilers rookies playing a couple of games. Then the Flames will play some Squid Club games against the Oilers. Really going to hate that Oilers team before the season kicks off even more, which is excellent because rivalries build the sport, in my opinion, and it's going to be awesome to see. So let's dive into some Flames topics here. Let's start off ice, though, Robert. We got a little bit of a shocker news. Ryan Leslie tweeted out those eyeball emojis on X. Then he drops the news with Toronto that he's going to go be the Toronto guy for their broadcast. So good on him for joining MLSE and getting that job, which opens up a job for the Flames on Sportsnet as an in-game host there for Sportsnet. What do you make of the Ryan Leslie move, Robert? I like that he's going home. I like that he's taking on the bigger opportunity for himself, probably a little bit more money as well for him. So happy for Ryan and the job that he did for the Flames and wish him a lot of good luck. But what do you make of this move for Ryan Leslie?
I got a few thoughts on this. I mean, number one, why can't we have anything nice? Why can't Flames fans just have anything nice? Like, it just feels like people that are with the Flames that the fans really develop like a strong sort of like relationship with, they just leave. They leave us. Yeah. Rick Ball, Ryan Leslie, Gaudreau, Tkachuk, all those guys. I feel like the Calgary Flames are like the reason I have trust issues right now in my life. I can't trust anybody because it just feels like they're just going to leave me. So thank you to everybody associated with the Flames who have left for doing that. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, like, good on them. Number one, that's a pretty cool job. I mean, being the host for Toronto Maple Leafs like web content and their social media content, that's a big job. And you're working with the most prestigious hockey team in the NHL from a business standpoint, not an on-ice standpoint, that's for sure. So yeah, good on him. The guy's awesome. The guy's a pro. He's funny. He's engaging. He asks great questions. Like, he's really, really good at what he does. So it's cool to see him go on to such a big opportunity. But the first thing that comes to mind is, my God, did Sportsnet drop the ball on this one? Uh-huh. Same thing with Rick Ball. Sportsnet, I don't know what is wrong with them. Like, they have these ultra talented people and they just continue to make poor decisions and let them walk away and give the airtime to people who aren't as talented. Like Rick Ball and Ryan Leslie in particular, those two guys should be doing national games for Sportsnet. Like, Rick Ball should probably be the number 2 play-by-play guy behind Chris Cuthbert right now, and should probably be the guy who's going to take over for him when he retires. And Leslie should have been like in like the Scott Oak role, or he should have been doing more hosting during the week, like kind of like the whatever like David Amber does, or some other hosts there. Like, Ryan Leslie should have been doing that stuff, and Sportsnet completely dropped the ball on that. And I bet you he thought to himself, you know what, if you're not going to promote me within this company, F you, I'm leaving. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to take my talents elsewhere, just like Rick Ball did. So yeah, it's a big blow for Calgary. It's a big blow for the Flames broadcasts. It sucks. It really sucks. But you got to be happy for Leslie, because I think he's from Ontario, right? Like, he's probably going back home.
Owen Sound.
Okay, yeah. So he's gonna be closer to family and all that kind of stuff. So it's good for him, but it's crap for Flames fans. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, personally for Ryan Leslie, I'm happy for the guy, right? This is a bigger job, in my opinion, than a regional broadcast for Sportsnet.
Yeah,
this is
for sure.
This is the center of the hockey world, right? Like, you're getting to run social media, do their content, interviews, rinkside, all that fun stuff. Like, that's gonna be it's a lot of work, but at the same time, the way Ryan Leslie approaches the job, it's not going to be a day of work in his entire life. This guy's going to have a ton of fun out there. He's around family, friends. He's closer to his daughter, who's going to school out there as well. So he's very excited for this role. And in the interviews I've heard from him, he's absolutely looking forward to this move. For us in Calgary, and we've had Ryan Leslie around for a long time, we've come accustomed to what he's done for these broadcasts and how he's elevated the broadcast. He's elevated how we watch these games on Sportsnet. The way he tells stories. He's soft-spoken in these interviews, which gets guys to open up more. I find that guys tend to give Ryan Leslie a little more than they'll give, say, Kyle Bukauskas on the road or any of these other regional guys. Like, they give Ryan Leslie a little bit more. They open up to this guy. They like this guy. He's beloved around the Flames organization. So Sportsnet absolutely dropped this ball, which is non-surprising to me, because that's continually what this that company likes to do, is drop balls. They don't like to bring us great products with great people and elevate things. They like the status quo. They like the bottom line, and they've proven it over and over. And this, for me, is just another one of those moves where it's like, okay, this is more about the company line rather than what's best for the product. And that's just my opinion on the matter. Rick Ball should still be here in the Flames calling games. Ryan Leslie should still be the in-game host, and should have a lot more responsibility. I'm right there with you on that, Robert. It's a massive loss for Sportsnet. I'm hope they realize it sooner than later. all due respect to whoever takes over these Sportsnet broadcasts for Ryan Leslie, you're not going to be as good. I don't care who you are. And I wish Ryan Leslie nothing but the best and success out in Toronto, other than them winning a Stanley Cup, of course. But I hope his broadcast career continues to blossom and to grow, and he has a lot of fun with what he's doing because he's looking forward to it, and I'm a big Ryan Leslie fan. So shame on Sportsnet for not ponying up and doing what needed to be done to help a guy further along his career.
Yeah, and like if you're in charge of Sportsnet, like the production side, and you're making all these decisions about talent, after watching how Ryan Leslie approached this season and not giving him a promotion and not moving him to a national role, I just think is crazy. Like the two things that stick out for me with Leslie this year was, number one, how he handled the whole Gaudreau situation. It was masterful. His works, particularly that game when Columbus came to Calgary, it was incredible work. Like, I'm literally getting like chills, like just thinking about it, which may sound ridiculous, but like I thought he was so good. Like the way he did that post-game interview with Anderson, Backlund, and Guy Gaudreau, like that was spectacular. And then there's also the way he handled the Greg Millen passing later in the season. Just like, paid a remarkable tribute to the guy. Like he's so good at what he does, and the fact that Sportsnet like wouldn't elevate him, I think is just nuts. I think they're crazy for letting that guy walk, and Rick Ball on top of that, like you said. So ridiculous move by them, but like you said, it opens up a spot on the Sportsnet broadcast here in Calgary. Like I'm curious, do you have any favorites for who could take that job? Anyone off the top of your head here?
It's going to be Kyle Bukauskas.
You think so, eh? Hot take.
He just recently moved to Calgary. Him and his wife are from this area, from Western Canada, I should say. He's recently moved here. He's done a lot of broadcasts for Toronto. He's well known because of the podcast with Elliot Freeman on 32 Thoughts. He seems to be the darling of Sportsnet.
Yeah, they love him.
And I think it's a really easy fit for Sportsnet because this is what they like to do. Is they like comfortability, right? They like to be comfortable in what they want to do. So as much as I like it to be Brendan Parker or Natasha, I really just think they're just going to end up settling on Kyle Bukauskas and his glorious head of hair.
I just don't know if I see that happening, just because.
Interesting.
Kyle has got the number 1 rinkside reporter job at Sportsnet, and he's the host of 32 Thoughts. Like you said, and like they send him to all these NHL events. Like he is kind of, like you said, like almost like the poster child of Sportsnet right now. And if he were to take the Calgary job, that would be, I don't know, that would be a bit of a downgrade for him in terms of like his status at Sportsnet. So, like you said, he didn't move here, like you said, to be closer to family and all that. So from that aspect, it might make sense, but I don't know. I just don't know if I see him like taking a demotion in his job, because he could still do that national rinkside reporter job and still live in Calgary.
That's true. What about and this just came to me just now, is he the next Scott Oak then?
I think he's actually that's interesting. I was gonna say, I think with him doing like Leaf and Hab games on Saturday nights, I think he's ahead of Scott on the pecking order right now. So I even think that might be a little bit of a demotion, but now that he's out west, it would be a lighter travel schedule for him to just take those late night games. So yeah, that's an interesting one. I could see him maybe doing something like that. I agree with you on Brendan Parker. In my opinion, I think he's the front runner for the job. Because like when I think of this job, for me, it's like Sportsnet and the Flames are going to have to come together on who's going to get hired. It's not just a Sportsnet decision, and I bet you the Flames will be pushing hard for Brendan Parker because he's worked for the team for a while now. Like, he's got good relationships with everybody in that organization. They know they can trust him. He's not going to rock the boat. He's not going to do anything controversial. Like, he'll just be a pro and he'll do a good job. Like, I could see him getting that job, but the other two people, like you said, Natasha, there's a potential there. Maybe she could do it. The other person, and I'll give a shout out to my dad here. He brought her up yesterday when we were talking about this. He was like, "What about Cami? Like Cami Kepke?"
Oh, nice. I like that.
And I'm like, that would be sweet because Cami's awesome at what she does. she's super talented, like very professional. Just has lots of experience in hosting roles, doing sports. So I was like, that's actually like a hell of an idea, and it'd be like a local person. It'd be like, rewarding someone who's like young and up and coming in the Calgary media scene. So I was like, damn, that's a really good one. So yeah, I would throw Cammie's name into the mix too.
Brendan Parker for me would be my favorite. He would be the one that I'd like the most. Much like Ryan Leslie, he tends to get a lot out of these NHL players who like to give you the stock answer. He's been around the team. He knows the team. The team knows him. I think he does a really good job on Flames TV. I want to throw his co-host on Flames TV in there as well. I think Ryan Dietrich might get some consideration. He's been around quite a while now. He knows the team. He knows the process. He's been around Brendan Parker and Ryan Leslie learning the ropes. So if they're looking for some younger blood, maybe his name gets thrown around there. But for me, and I don't want to butcher her last name, but I really want to make a push for Natasha. You see a lot of ladies getting their just due in this business, in these markets of these jobs. I think she should be under a lot of consideration as well. The job she does for Stamps broadcast as well. She's really, really good at what she does. She's a great storyteller. And I think she could do a really good job in that role, given an opportunity as well. And so those are my front runners here. But I really pull hard for Brendan Parker because that dude is really good. I've interviewed him a couple of times. Really good dude, and he knows his stuff, right? He's a very big hockey fan, and from the area too, right? Like you love guys that are local, know the team and the job, and are passionate about it. For me, that fits Ryan Parker really, really well.
Yeah, I agree. And like Parker. I agree with you. Like I like seeing people from like the Calgary area get rewarded and get promotions. Like forever, it feels like a lot of these media companies, they bring in people from outside of Calgary, which is fine. Like lots of guys have been brought in from Toronto and that sort of thing, and they've done a really good job. But it's also nice to like reward up and coming talent and people from the Calgary area, and hopefully that would kind of motivate other people to want to get involved in the media scene in Calgary, and hopefully shows like there's actually a future here, and that there's roles for people from Calgary, not just people from Toronto. So that would definitely be nice.
Yeah, for sure. While we're on I can't even talk today. While we're on the conversation, I've seen a lot of buzz on social media as well, how the Flames should revamp the entire play-by-play group and the entire play-by-play. What are your thoughts on John Abbott, Kelly Rudy heading into the season as the TV guys? And then on the radio side, obviously we have Derek Wills along with Megan Mickelson on those. Do you think there's any need for that far and revamping the whole thing, or are we just looking for a new reporter for you?
I like the job that John Abbott did last year. Like I thought he was solid. Like I think he's got a really good voice. I think he's got like a good cadence. He's got a good goal call, all that kind of stuff. So actually, I like John Abbott. I felt like he got a little bit too homerish last year, which is, I mean, it's his job. He's the play-by-play voice for the team. So obviously, you're going to want to have a bias towards the Flames, which is totally fair. I just thought sometimes it got almost a little too much last year, but. And in terms of the color role on TV, I'd like to see Megan Mickelson get a shot. And whether that's she takes the role that Greg Millen had last year, or she becomes the full-time color commentator. Like I just find with her, you can tell she puts in so much time and effort into what she does. You can just tell like she puts in the time, puts in the effort, she watches film. And the nice thing, like when you're listening to her broadcasts, she actually like breaks down plays and she'll talk about like why a play happened, why a player made the decision that they did, how did this goal happen, and she'll show like a play from like 20 seconds before the goal happened, and she'll be like, this breakout pass right here that went through two sticks, like that was a really great play by ex defenseman. Like she'll provide that type of analysis, which is what I think is awesome in color commentary. I find Kelly just sometimes he'll just like describe the play and not like why it happened, but just like he'll just tell you, hey, like, and he passes it here, and then he went here, and then this person scored. Whereas Megan's like, here's like the three like decisions that this player could have made, and here's why this one was the right one and why it led to the goal, and here's how the Flames set up their PK. Here's the Flames defensive zone structure, and here's why this play happened. Like that's the kind of stuff that Mickelson does. And I think that would be like a huge add to the TV broadcast. So I would definitely pull for her to get that job, or at least get like half the broadcast, like kind of like Greg Millen did last year when Kelly goes to Toronto. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's good. I think it's like a good broadcast. I don't know if I'd put it in like the top 10 of the NHL, but if they could get Mickelson up there, I actually think that the broadcast would be really solid. That's kind of where I'm at on all those things.
I'm going to try to say this without taking a shot at Kelly Rudy, because I think he does a fine job and he's a great analyst in studio and he does a decent job. I think the Flames TV broadcast is missing something a little more current, a player who's a little more current. Megan Mickelson definitely fits that bill. She's excellent at what she does. So if you pull her from the radio side, the radio will be looking for a new person who needs to fit that bill, in my opinion. Megan, she's tremendous at what she does. If you haven't listened to a Flame broadcast on the radio, go do so. It's tremendous. But I just think the Flames broadcast needs to add a little bit more of an up-to-date current player who recently retired to help break down the game, because it's a lot different than when Kelly played back in the late 80s, right? He was a great player in his day. He did okay playing as a goaltender in the National League. He knows his stuff. But I just think it needs a little bit of a refresher on that side, where you have a player who just played or just finished playing 5 years ago, who kind of knows more of the current game. Just my opinion there. I think overall, though, I like what John Abbott does. He's what you want on a Flames broadcast, a guy who's going to pull for the team. I think Derek Wills does a fine job on the radio side. I like Megan. I do like Kelly. Just need one more added opponent for me, and that would just be a little bit much like Kevin Bieksa added to the CBC studios or the Sportsnet studios for Hockey Night in Canada. Something like that for a Flames broadcast would be awesome. Just a guy who can go in there, break down plays a little bit more than what Kelly would do, explain how today's NHL kind of works around certain things, and just a different perspective would be awesome on the broadcast for me personally.
Yeah, even like the player could give kind of analysis on like what a lot of these guys are like, because he played with them or against them within the last 1 to 4 years sort of thing. Like I think that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I would completely agree with you. That part of the broadcast could definitely use a little bit of a refresh.
Let's keep going on the off ice topics here, Robert. We've had shall we say a quiet off season. I'm looking up the transaction page for the Flames. It shows a signing of Matt Coronado, a signing of Adam Klapka, a signing of Drayden Hunt, a signing of Justin Kirkland, and a whole lot of crickets and rumors around Rasmus Andersson. What have you made personally of Craig Conroy's offseason, the lack of moves, the quietness of it, and how high is your concern level that enough wasn't done for this Flames roster? Or was this perfect for you?
This was perfect for me. Like if I had to give it a letter grade, I would probably give it like a B+. What would have put his grade into like the A category would have been he had traded Rasmus Andersson at the draft. And then number 2, he would have, taken advantage of his salary cap space. That's just something that this organization just seems to refuse to do for some reason. I don't know why. I know they've eaten some salary, in like the Chris Tanev and Noah Hannafin and Jacob Markstrom deals, which is great, but they've never like brought in, a quote unquote bad contract and taken a draft pick or a prospect along, with it to take it on. Like that's the type of move I really want to see the Flames make, within the next 24 months here. Like they should do like 2 or 3 of those. Mm-hmm. And Conroy hasn't done any of them. So that's my only concern from the offseason, or my only criticism, is just Andersson and not taking advantage of salary cap space. However, overall, I think it's been really good from Conroy because he's been patient. He hasn't gone out and just spent a ton of money and a ton of term or a ton of assets in a trade on a player to help them win now, because they're not at that stage of their winning cycle, in my opinion. Like this is a team, I've talked about a lot. Like they probably should be trying to bottom out this year and try to get some elite talent in the draft, because they're still missing an elite forward in their prospect pool and in their next core group of players. They need that elite forward. So if Conroy had gone out and spent draft picks and prospects and all that kind of stuff to bring in help now, I think that actually I don't know. I think that would have actually been putting them back a little bit. So I'm really happy about that. And like, I like some of the contracts that he signed. I do like the Kevin Ball deal, getting him locked up long term. I'm a big fan of that. I like the bridge contract for Morgan Frost. The Matt Coronado contract, I think, is a home run. Really, really happy with that. You know, bringing in Klapka for a couple years, low money deal, I thought was smart. I like the Pospisil contract. Like a lot of the internal stuff he did, you know, and that includes Joel Hanley too, because you take a look at some of the money and term that depth third pairing defenseman got on the free agent market. You know, to get Joel Hanley on a 2-year deal for, I think he was making less than $2 million a year. It's fantastic when you see like Cody Ceci getting paid over 4 on 4 years. So I like that move too. So there's lots of positives. It's the patience, it's the internal work that he did, and just the fact that he didn't go out and just spend a gross amount of assets and cap space on win now pieces. I thought was really smart by him, and I'm a fan of that aspect of it. But the big one for me is just I really wish that Anderson would have been traded by the draft, because it just felt like that was the time to do it. That felt like, you know, I know Anderson's, you know, no trade clause might have gotten in the way, but it just felt like that was the time to get that done. So overall, I'd say a B+. I'm pretty happy with his work this summer.
My favorite thing about this offseason for Craig Conroy is it wasn't noisy. Yes, we had the Rasmus Anderson conversation, but there was nothing else, right? And after the last couple of off seasons for the Flames, I kind of liked it. Yeah, we would have liked to see some more moves and maybe a Rasmus Anderson trade and, you know, that kind of stuff happening around the league and you know, to have a little bit more newsworthy things to talk about. But at the same time, a quiet offseason might be what was the best for the Flames. Take care of your internal business. He still has a big piece to do in Connor Zary, but other than that, he's got Klapka signed. He brought Hanley back in, like you mentioned, all those contracts. And that's what was needed, right? He did the needed work, but he didn't go out and blow his brains on Jack Roslovic for 5 years at $4.5 million or something that Brad Treliving we would have done in the past with like a Troy Brouwer type of signing. He held pat and he stood still, and he really allowed his players to have a quiet offseason, knowing what was at hand for them coming into camp this year. And that is, we need everyone to be 1% better, a little bit better, 1 point better. We've heard that message more than once this offseason. Just be that 1 point better. And so I think you've had a nice, clear message to your players. You've gone out there and your actions have backed up that message to your players, and you haven't made a mess of anything. I absolutely think he did miss an opportunity to trade Rasmus Anderson around the draft, but those things happen. It takes two to tango, right? You need the right price and a willing combatant to take on that contract, that player, and such and forth. So I give it a B+ as well. He does have a couple more things I'd like to see him get done. We'll talk about them coming up here in the show as well. But overall, it's like he's really held fast to his message. His actions have backed up his message, and his players know what the message is. And that is, we need everyone to come to camp being a little bit better. And I'm going to show and put faith in the guys that we have here to be better. And that's so. I really enjoy what Craig Conroy has done as well overall with the job that he's been given here with Flames. A lot of internal stuff got done, and it all makes sense what he did. The Kevin Ball thing made sense. The Coronado signing made sense, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All that being said, Robert, do you think that this team is in need of making a move? Is there a need of a PTO coming in for training camp? Do they need to make a trade outside of Rasmus Anderson? Is there a remaining free agent that strikes your fancy that the Flames should look at signing and bringing in here? Where are you standing at here heading into camp? Do the Flames need to make another move?
I think up front in the forward group, I would say no. I mean, we've talked about it this summer. Like, it's hard to place the forwards that they have currently throughout the lineup, right? So to add somebody on a PTO or to add someone via trade without subtracting from that group, I don't think it makes sense. So from a forward perspective, I would say no. Defense, they could use some help on defense, especially if they think that guys like Solovyov, Kuznetsov aren't NHL players and they want to upgrade on Jake Bean. I think there's a spot open for a left shot defenseman to come in for sure. On the right side, I mean, it's filled right now, but when Rasmus Andersson does get dealt, all of a sudden another spot's going to open up, and like I don't really know if you want Zane Parekh and Hunter Brzustevich on the blue line for the majority of the season. I mean, that's just putting a lot of pressure on two young rookies. So, there's potentially a spot open on the right once Anderson's dealt. And then in net, I would say you're fine with obviously you're fine with Wolf. He's phenomenal. But then from the backup perspective, I think you're okay with Przvetov and Cooley for now.
Mm-hmm.
And if either one of those guys, if they struggle or they show that, they can't get the job done, you can always pick up a goalie on waivers. You could always pick up another goalie via trade. I'm not too worried about that. So I would say, like, overall heading into camp, I would say don't bring in any PTOs. Don't sign any free agents. Give your guys like Solovyov and Kuznetsov a shot. And if they can't do it, then maybe that's when you can look externally. And if you want to, have an upgrade on Jake Bean or someone like that, then that's great. But like heading into training camp at this moment in time right now, I don't think it makes sense to bring in anybody.
I like that breakdown from you, Robert. I really do, going through all the roster there. The one thing that I would like this Flames team to do is find another left shot defenseman. But then you go to the free agent market and you're looking at guys like Marc-Edouard Vlasic, Alec Martinez, TJ Brody, Matt Grzelcyk, Jan Root. Nothing really jumps off of the page of you other than these mid-30s defensemen. So I think as far as a PTO goes, I think I'd steer away from that. But I think I would be searching the market for a left shot defenseman just in case a Kuznetsov's not making the jump or Solovyov isn't ready. That Jake Bean ends up being a top 4 defenseman or looks like a top 4 defenseman on paper in your roster. That's what I would be looking for. But at the same time, I'm not panicked about it because it's not training camp yet. So it'd be something that I would evaluate as they go into training camp. Give these guys the opportunity. We've talked about it on a couple of shows. Where are these jobs to be taken? Well, here's an opportunity for a job to be taken. This is an opportunity for a young kid to show he's ready to make that jump. And to bring in a PTO or sign a free agent like a Matt Grzelcyk, I think would just block that opportunity because we know NHL head coaches. They like to go with veterans who they know what they're going to get from those guys. They're not going to lean towards the young kid who they're unsure of. It just doesn't happen across the league. And it's not just Ryan Huska. We saw it from Sutter. We see it across other teams. We see it, on teams that win. They always go with the veteran who knows what they're doing and knows what they can get out of these guys. So I think for the Flames right here, this is an opportunity to allow a Solovyov, a Kuznetsov, maybe even a surprise. Maybe Etienne Morin comes in here and surprises and shocks the world. Allow these guys to have that opportunity, though, and keep that door open for these jobs and allow these defensemen to show, hey, I'm ready for that spot. Maybe Jake Bean comes into camp and surprises everyone and is actually a serviceable NHL defenseman. And then same thing with the forward group. Yeah, we think all these jobs are taken in the forward group, but then don't bring in another PTO on top of that. Allow the younger kids to push the current players for those jobs and see if we can get some internal competition within this organization to get the best out of each and every single person. Maybe Sharon Govich comes to the camp and he isn't quite prepared, but Gridden comes into camp and shows that he is ready to go. Is there things that can force the hand of Craig Conroy and Ryan Huska? That's what I'm interested in seeing in camp. I'm not interested in seeing a Jack Johnson walk through the door and say, hey, I'm here to try to take a job. I'm not interested in seeing Tucker Poolman or Jesper Fast come through the door trying to find a job or latch onto their NHL careers at the end here. 35 TJ Brody, as much as I loved him a decade ago, I'm not fancied by TJ Brody walking through that door. So allow the internal competition to run your camp and do the jobs. And then there's always the waivers and the trades afterwards, after camp, that you can go pick through and try to fix some problems if that's the route you determined at the end of the day that needs to happen. But I think Flames are in a good position here to let their kids try to make their mark. And I'm interested to see how that works out during camp here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it makes sense to bring in any of those veteran guys. And like I said, unless it's like Ryan Huska and Brett Sutter and Trent Cole get together and they talk about Solovyov and Kuznetsov and Cole and Sutter say, you know what, like we just haven't seen it from them in the AHL and they're not going to be NHL players. You need to fill that role. Then, bringing in a guy like Matt Grzelcyk might make sense. But I just think it's only fair to give guys like Kuznetsov and Solovyov a true opportunity to make this club, like you just said. So I really, really hope that they don't bring in anybody. I hope that they don't make any additional moves unless they're moving out bodies along with it. And yeah, just going to training camp and like last year when they brought in Tyson Barrie, like why did they bring in Tyson Barrie? Like it made absolutely no sense. It blocked a spot from guys in the minors. He clearly wasn't an NHL player anymore. Don't do that. Don't make that same mistake. So yeah, hopefully they start camp and like Conroy has consistently said, hopefully they'll actually give opportunities to young players, give true opportunities to them to hopefully come in and show that they could potentially push for a spot.
I'm going to spring a question on you that's not in our rundown here, Robert, and I'll give you a minute to answer because I'll go first here. Is there a player coming into training camp that's your pre-training camp darling? So for me, it's Andrew Basha. How far can Andrew Basha push his training camp position? How far can he show how ready he is to take the next jump? This is a guy who can play at all three levels next year. He can go back to the WHL for another year. He is eligible for the AHL. He is eligible for the NHL, obviously. What can Andrew Basha do to push the Flames organization into putting him in the right spot to be successful? I think NHL is a bit strong, but I wonder if this is a guy that pushes for top 6 AHL minutes and shows that he's ready to make that next step. Because anyone who watched him in the Western Hockey League knows how tenacious this player is, how dog on a bone this player is, and how ready he looked at times. Yes, he got injured last year. At times, in his draft year, he looked ready then to play at the next level up. This kid is smart. He's got a lot of speed to his game, and I think Flame fans are going to fall in love with Andrew Basha sooner than later. So he's my pre-training camp darling that I'm looking forward to seeing how training camp goes for him. Does anyone come to mind for you in that category, Robert?
Yeah, I would probably just go with Hunter Brustevich.
Love it.
I think that he has the potential to really make his mark and push for a spot in training camp. I don't know if he's going to be able to actually earn it just because of the guys that are ahead of him right now. But what I think he can do is almost pull like a Josh Juris, where in 2014, Juris had a fantastic training camp, but he ended up getting sent down. But he basically set himself up as the next call-up. And I wonder if Brustevich can do something similar where he comes in, he plays really well in the preseason, but he isn't able to jump any of Uyghur, Anderson, or Parekh, and he goes back to the Wranglers and continues to develop and continues to play well, but he's that first call-up when Rasmus Anderson gets traded or if there's an injury. I wonder if that's kind of how it goes. And I don't... The thing with training camp, and like I think we both agree on this, we've talked about it before, is just I don't know if I like the idea of just earning a spot out of training camp, because a lot of like in these preseason games, like you're playing against like maybe 4 to 10 NHL regulars, and those NHL regulars like really aren't going, like they're not really trying that hard. They're just kind of trying not to get hurt, and they're trying to get ready for the season. So to like excel in performance in those types of situations, I don't think it's like that strong of an indicator if you can actually play, like truly play at the NHL level or not. And I think we saw that last year with Sam Honzig. Obviously had the great preseason, but it was the preseason. And once he got to the NHL and started playing in regular season games, it was incredibly obvious that he was not ready for that type of role. And, it ended up costing him because, he went to go hit Connor Murphy, a 6'4", 225-pound NHL defenseman, and he got leveled. He got his shit rocked, and he ended up getting a concussion, and I think that kind of derailed his season. And he wasn't ready. But because he had a good preseason, all of a sudden you have to give him a spot, which I don't know. I just don't think that's smart. So like, say an Andrew Basha or say a Hunter Brustevich comes in and has a fantastic preseason and a great training camp. That's great, but I don't know if that necessarily means that they should earn an NHL spot right away. I still think that there's still some development for those two players in particular, and I still think they could probably still get a little bit stronger and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's definitely an interesting question. I just don't know if these guys will earn spots right out of camp, but I definitely think that they can make noise and be like that first or second call up. during the season if injuries arise,
I like how you worded that there. Make the noise, right? Show that you're ready and prepared to take the next step. Maybe you're not ready at a camp to play top 9 NHL minutes or be in the top 4 of the pairing, but show that you're making the noise, that you're ready. You're on the radar of the coaching staff, of the general manager, that you're taking the necessary steps to become an everyday NHLer. And I'm with you on that one, where a lot of times Roman Horak comes to mind as well, where these guys just get into the NHL because of a strong preseason, and some of them get hurt by it. Roman Horak was never a good NHL player. He had a really good preseason, and he was always put in these roles. And then when they get into these regular season games, they're pushed down the lineup. Well, you made the roster by playing top 6 preseason games, minutes in games, and now you're playing 4th line in the NHL. It's an entirely different structure, entirely different game, entirely different role than what you played in the preseason, and these guys get buried a little bit. So I'm with you on that, Robert. I just like to watch these young players come in here and push a little bit, push to make sure that, hey, notice me because I'm coming for these jobs. Andrew Mangiapane did it. We saw Matt Coronado do it. These guys that come in here, they might not make the team at a camp, but and Josh Hirsch was a good example as well. They might not make the camp, but they made the noise. And they're on the radar, and so they're the guys that get called up. So that's a really good point by you, Robert. There,
and I know, in 2018, I remember Dylan Dubé made the team out of camp, and then he got sent down. Yusuf Alamaki made the team out of camp, and then he got sent down. It's just it's because they had really good preseasons, and they came up and they just weren't ready. And there's nothing wrong if they're not ready to play full time in the NHL, even if they did have a good preseason. There's literally nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So I just hope the Flames are careful when it comes to that sort of thing.
Absolutely. One guy we know who's going to make this roster at a camp, no matter how bad his training camp is, he makes the most money on the team. We've heard multiple radio shows and podcasts already talk about Jonathan Huberdeau, but what should the expectations be for number 10 for the Flames? He's multiple seasons in now with the Flames here. He can't use the excuse of the trade anymore. He makes a ton of money. He's transformed his game a little bit, and everyone's very fascinated by the way that he goes in front of the net now and he penalty kills now. But what should our expectations be, and what are your expectations for Jonathan Huberdeau?
Yeah, they talked about this on Flames Talk. It was either a week or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a really interesting conversation and something that a lot of people aren't really talking about. And the way I was kind of thinking about it was can you expect more from the guy? Can you expect him to take another step in terms of point production during his time with the Flames? And I thought about it for a while, and I'm I don't know if I see it, but I think the one area where I'd like to see at least a little bit more improvement is just in the playmaking department. I am shocked at Huberdeau's inability to be an elite passer since coming to Calgary. We watched Johnny Gaudreau for all those years, and he just had this amazing ability to find his teammates in just the most remarkable ways, whether it was, making these incredible cross ice passes and beating 2 defenders, or he'll enter the zone, stop, kind of curl back, find a trailer coming, or even just below the goal line, getting pucks out to the front of the net. Gaudreau was so good at that, and I expected Huberdeau to be the same, because you take a look at his assist totals in Florida before coming to Calgary. In his last 4 years in Florida, he had 62 assists, 55 assists in 69 games, 41 assists in 55 games. And then 85 assists in 80. So he was an elite playmaker. And I think in those years prior to Calgary, I looked it up. He had the second most assists in the NHL. And the only person that was ahead of him was Connor McDavid. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm wow, we're getting this elite playmaker. He's going to make all of his line mates better. He's going to make a 20 goal scorer, a 25 to 30 goal scorer, and he's going to make a 30 goal scorer, a 40 goal scorer. That's how good this guy is at passing the puck. And I don't from an eye test perspective and stats, I just have not seen him be that guy, be that playmaker. So I would love to see him improve in that part of his game. Since coming to Calgary, he only had 40 assists, and last year only 34 assists. for a guy as talented as Huberdeau, like 34 assists is not good enough. I know he scored a lot of goals, but I just want to see him setting up his teammates more. I want to see him be that distributor, that elite distributor. And like he should be 50 plus assists every year, with just how talented he is and how good his vision was prior coming to Calgary. So in terms of improvement, like next year, I don't see him scoring 28 goals. He had 18.3% shooting percentage, the best of his entire career. I don't know if I see that happening again. So I could see him scoring like maybe around like 20 goals, but I'd love to see that assist total get into like the 50s. That's where I think the real growth is for this guy. So there's that. And then also just I'd love to see him shoot the puck more. Because like you take a look at his shots on goal, in his first year in Calgary, 126, then 143, then 153. You look at his time in Florida, 1 year he had 200. Oh, here, let me just see. 204 shots one season, 226, 222. Like he shot the puck way more in Florida than he has in Calgary. So I would just say I'd love to see more playmaking out of him and like more playmaking potential. And I'd love to see him shoot the puck more, especially after like last year, that 18% shooting percentage. Like, he did have some snipes in there. Like he can shoot the puck. So let's just see a little bit more of that moving forward. So yeah, those are the two areas I could see him growing, but I don't know if I'd be holding my breath on that, just based off what we've seen in his 3 years in Calgary so far.
There's a lot of ways to answer this and talk about Jonathan Huberdeau, and I go over it in my mind over and over and how I want to approach this conversation. And I even right now, I'm not sure how I'm going to word this, but we'll see how I come across here, because Jonathan Huberdeau, the expectations when he got here were just as you mentioned. This is a playmaker. This is a guy who can come in here and fill most of the shoes of Johnny Gaudreau, who moved on to Columbus. This is a guy that I think can elevate his people around him. For heaven's sakes, he had 115 points beside Sam Bennett and Anthony Duclair. Like, come on. Like, yeah. This is a guy who can come in here, play with a guy like Elias Lindholm, and he should provide offense, and we never saw it. We've never seen it since he's been here. And you look at his points totals, 55 points, 52 points, 62 points. I'm not expecting 115 points from Jonathan Huberdeau. I never was when he came to Calgary, but for me, it was never too much to ask this guy to be a point-per-game player. You mentioned the 50 assists. This is a guy who could get there easily, or we thought could get there easily. He's 32 years old now. This is his fourth season in Calgary, and we have yet to see that dynamic ability really on a consistent level in his entire time being in Calgary. I think this is what he is. I really do. I think this is what Jonathan Huberdeau is. He's a mid-50s to 60-point guy, a guy who's going to get you, around 40 assists, maybe 35 assists, and I think we have to make peace with that as a Flames fan. And that sucks because of what we thought we were getting in the player. It sucks because of the contract that this guy signed and what we thought we could do with Jonathan Huberdeau and how you can build a team around Jonathan Huberdeau. We got excited because guys like Matt Coronado were coming, what he looked like beside Jonathan Huberdeau. We got excited. What would Elias Lindholm do with Jonathan Huberdeau? And nothing ever happened. Then they signed Nazem Kadri. Well, maybe Kadri can play with Huberdeau. And that at first looked really terrible. It took them till season 3 together to get any sort of really good offense going together with both these guys playing at high levels. I think 62 points might be the max we get out of Jonathan Huberdeau. And I think to have expectations higher than that would just be nothing but pure hope. And this is coming from a guy who was a fan of Huberdeau. Go back in my tweets when we traded for this guy, how excited I was. I have a Huberdeau jersey on my wall behind me. I love this player. I love what he brings to the table when he can play those games. I love what he did in Florida. He was a cog of how good some of those Florida teams were near the end of his tenure there. Before, obviously, they've gone on to higher heights since he's left. But this is a player that should be better than what he's showing. And I do not know why we are not getting that player. And I don't know if we're ever going to see that type of player again. And that is disappointing for all the things that I've mentioned already. But I don't think it's unfair to not expect this guy to continue to perform and to go out there and be a leader to this group, to show these younger players how to be a professional hockey league player. and to continue to push this guy to be, if you're going to give us 62 points, at least be consistent enough to give us those 62 points. Don't go and don't have this regression that you're going to fall off a cliff even more, because you've shown you can get 92 points, 78 points, 115 points. We've seen that player in the National Hockey League, and then comes to Calgary, and he's a 60-point player. He's just what he is right now. And so my expectations for Huberdeau in this season is to be that good leader, to be a good pro, to lead this team, continually try to provide that offense. I like that he's transformed his game a little bit. But we do need, to your point, Robert, we do need a little bit more from him still offensively. I just don't know if we're going to get it. So I think for me, fair expectations for this guy will be give us 20 goals, give us 40 assists, give us 60 points.
What happened to him?
I don't know. That's what baffles me, because you go back and you watch, take that 115-point season out of it, because everyone's going to automatically go to that.
Totally agree.
Right before that season, 55 games, he had 61 points. 69 games before that, he had 78 points. This guy was clearly over a point per game player, which is why I think a point per game player is a fair expectation for a player of Jonathan Huberdeau's so-called status. But we just haven't seen it, and I don't know where it went, because we saw it, and now it's been 4 years. Like, this is year 4 in Calgary, and so I can't get fooled again, because I thought, okay, 1 year, okay, it's the trade, right? Adapting. So you think year 2 is going to be better, and then there's all that turmoil around the Flames where Lindholm wants out and Hannafin wants out, and we trade Zadorov and Tanev. Okay, maybe a little excuses in there, and then year 3 comes around, like, this has to be the year that Huberdeau puts it all together. This is his team, or quote unquote his team. This is, he's the offensive driver, and you just didn't see it. He didn't drive the offense. He was the recipient of Kadri driving offense. He was a recipient of a power play that got better towards the end of the season. That's how Huberdeau got his points. He wasn't driving like he did in Florida, and that to me is the most baffling thing, is he's not driving anymore. And I don't understand where it went.
I don't know where it went either. I have no idea. It's kind of bizarre. Like, I don't know. Have we ever seen someone, like, in his prime years of his career, go from being over a point per game player to being, 55, 52, 62? I don't know if we've ever really seen that type of drop off. Like, it's almost like he's like an entirely different person here. It's really strange. It'd be interesting to hear, like, his perspective if you put some truth serum into him. But, like you said, like, there's been so many excuses. It's oh yeah, big trade, new city, new environment, going from Florida to Canada, and then it's Daryl Sutter, and then it's chaos around the team in terms of all, like, the trades and all that kind of stuff, and then it's Huska's system's not conducive for offense. It's just like there's so many excuses, but at some point when you're paying a guy $10.5 million, like, he's got to step up, and he's got to be that, like, at least 70 point player. Like, if he was that guy, particularly in that 22-23 year, his first year in Calgary, they easily make the playoffs that year. Easily. Yeah. Like, that was a really good team that got sewered by a really bad year from Huberdeau and terrible goaltending from Jacob Markstrom. If Markstrom's just average and Huberdeau can put up 70 to 80 points that year, they're a legit cup contender, in my opinion.
And that changes a lot of other people's minds too. Does that change what Lindholm wants? Does that change what Tanev wants? Does that change, like, I think that changes the mindset of a few players as well.
Absolutely. And who knows what this team looks like right now if Huberdeau plays up to his potential. Could they have been a cup contender the last 2-3 seasons? Like, we'll never know the answer to that, but it's a curious case, man. It's really interesting. I don't really know what happened to the guy. I don't really have any reasons or explanations for it, but hopefully this season he can get back to that level. I don't know if that's realistic to think, but it would certainly be nice.
Yeah, I can't buy excuses. I work for a guy who likes to make excuses, and I just don't buy excuses. I don't like excuses. Bring me solutions, and right now I don't have a solution to the Jonathan Huberdeau problem. I just hope that he can bring what he's brought the last 2 seasons, and that's a little bit of more high elevation play, 62 points. If that's what it is, that's what it is. And hopefully other people can pick up the slack as well and help push this team forward here, because I'd hate to think what another Jonathan Huberdeau drop-off would mean for not only the player, but for the team as well.
Yeah, and just him personally, like I'm sure this has got to be probably eating away at him. Like
100%.
I can't imagine that he is overly thrilled with how things have gone in Calgary so far. So it'd also be like just really good for him to have a big year and to get his confidence back.
100%. 100%. All right, let's move on to a guy who lacks zero confidence. This guy is all the confidence in the world in his abilities. He's been doubted at every level that he's played in. He's up for a contract extension. He's under contract for 1 year for the Flames. How much are you willing to pay Dustin Wolf on a new contract extension? Because looking around the league and looking at other top goaltenders, this guy's in for a payday, I think, Robert. I think this guy's in for all the years and all the money. How high are you willing to go here? Because I was thinking about it. I was thinking, is the Jeremy Swayman contract too rich?
I don't think so. If I were the Flames, I'd be willing to go there, because if you can get him signed for a 7 or 8 year deal, preferably an 8 year deal, all of a sudden you have the next 9 years of Dustin Wolf locked up. And with the salary cap increasing pretty significantly over the next 8 years, hopefully, God forbid there's another pandemic or something like that. But, with the salary cap going up the way it is, in years like 3 through 8 of that deal, it could look like a steal if Wolf gets to the point where we think he can get to. And I feel like I know he can get to. So yeah, if I'm the Flames, I'm throwing 8 years at him. I'll throw 8.5, 8.75. Like, if you could keep the number below 9, I think you'd be really happy if you're a Flames fan, if that could happen. And like, if you're Conroy, like, I think you bet on this kid. Like, I know goaltending is a crazy position, but the fact that, he's the best goalie in the Dub, best goalie in the American Hockey League, has a remarkable rookie season with a really bad team in front of him. Like, he single-handedly keeps them in the playoff mix. Like, how can you say no to that track record? Like, you take a look at some like other goalies out there, they have nowhere near the same pedigree as Dustin Wolf, and yet they're still getting big money deals. So Wolf is absolutely a guy I'd invest in. I really hope Conroy and the management team, I really hope they would do like an 8-year, $8.5 million type of deal, because I think that might be able to get it done. Like, if you're Dustin Wolf, how do you say no to like $68 million? That's like a 22, 23-year-old. Like, that's crazy, life-changing amount of money. So yeah, hopefully they're willing to go that high. I don't know if they are. Like, I feel like if they were to offer that deal would probably be done by now. Like, I wonder if the Flames are trying to get in the 7s or something like that. But just Craig Conroy, if you're listening, for the love of God, sign this guy. Please, for the love of God, sign him to an 8-year deal. Pay him his $8.5 million. Call it a day. All of a sudden, you got 9 years of Dustin Wolf in his prime locked up. Like, that's how you build winning teams. Is you have to have those really favorable contracts for your best players.
I looked at that Jeremy Swayman contract, and I'm like, 8 by 8.25. I'm like, that sounds right. And then I thought about it a little bit more. I'm like, that really sounds right. And I'd even be willing to go like you are, Robert, a little bit higher than that if I have to get it done. How do you not, knowing what you have in this kid, what you expect of this kid, what you've seen from this guy, and how he's grown each and every year you've had him in your organization, how do you not go there if you are the Flames and Craig Conroy? You've been looking since Kiprusoff for a goaltender. All due respect to what Jacob Markstrom did, it was very up and down with Markstrom. But I think ever since Kiprusoff, they've been looking for that guy, that franchise guy, not just a stopgap guy, not your next Brian Elliott, not your Kari Ramo, not your whoever else you want to name in that awful time of Flames goaltending. This is a guy who can fill that role, a set it and forget it guy. And if you have a set it and forget it guy, no matter where the salary cap is going, it's just peace of mind knowing that, hey, probably the most valuable position outside of quarterback in sports, we have locked up for 9 years. How much? And then that's, you don't ever think about that ever again. And that's a lot of peace of mind for Conroy, for Ryan Huska, any future coach that might come through Calgary as well, to have this guy locked up. The other side of that, though, is if I'm Dustin Wolf and knowing how Dustin Wolf has been, I wonder how much he's just thinking, give me a bridge and let me see if I can earn 10. Let me see if I can get the Bobrovsky deal. I wonder if that thought ever crosses his mind on his side that, I think I can get the 8 by 8, but I wonder if I can get the 8 by 10. or the 7x10 down the road here and earning a little bit more, bet on myself a little bit more. And so I wonder if a bridge deal is on his mind at all, just for that purpose of, hey, I can earn some now, prove myself, and earn a little bit more down the road here. He is a loyal guy at the same time, so I wonder if the long-term contract extension is in his mind more than a short-term, but that thought does cross my mind. Does this guy bet on himself like he always has and just get a little bit more the next time around?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen lots of guys take a bridge and then have a gigantic contract after that. Like I know, like PK Subban comes to mind as one of them. So yeah, I mean, it could make sense for him, but like I'm almost wondering, like, how much better would he need to play in order to get more than $8.5 million right now? Like,
yeah, good point.
Like, does he need to be a Vezina candidate next season, or does he need to be, regarded as a top 5 goalie in the league over the next 2 years to get to 10? Like, I mean, that's a lot. Like, that's tough to get to that stage. I think Wolf can get there. I think he's talented enough to do so, but at the same time, like, if the Flames could throw, like I said, $60 or $68 million in front of them, like, it'd be hard to say no to that, because all it takes is, in that bridge contract, all it takes is 2 down years, or all it takes is a really bad injury, and all of a sudden your earning potential, has decreased substantially. So there's definitely a risk reward factor to it. It's just like, if he wants to go bridge and then sign a $10-11 million contract a year, he has to step up his play. Like, he's got to be even better than he was last year. Absolutely. Which is putting a lot of pressure on him. And if he falters, then all of a sudden he's out, he loses tens of millions of dollars, or he gets injured, he loses tens of millions of dollars. So yeah, it's a fascinating discussion, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. I'm almost wondering if they're going to come to an agreement during training camp and just start to build some buzz for this season. I don't know if that's a real thing or not, but that would be a pretty fun way to start the year if you're a Flames fan, is to get your stud number 1 goalie locked up for 8 years. Like, that would certainly create some buzz during training camp.
No kidding. If I'm his agent and he's looking at trying to get that 7x10, because after this year you can only sign 7-year deals, I look at him and be like, listen, we can get you 875 now. That's $80 million over 8 years. And there's not a soul on earth that turns down $70 million over 8 years at the age of 23. I know I'd run to the bank to get that.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. There's one more bit of news here real quick before we close off the show, Robert. Any concern over Connor Zary not being signed?
Oh, man. Now that we've hit September 1st, a little bit. It's totally bizarre that it's got to this point with this player. I don't understand. I don't know who's in the wrong here. I don't know if it's Connor Zary's asking for 4.5 or 5, or if it's the Flames offering him 2. We obviously don't know what's going on. Based off all the reporting, it sounds like the Flames are in that 3 to 3.5 range. And it kind of sounds like Zary is wanting more. The two sides need to come together, and they need to compromise here. Like, they cannot have Connor Zary missing any training camp sessions, not a single one. Number one, it would be a bit of a distraction, mainly for the player, not so much for the team, but for the player. They need him on the ice. They need him to get off to a good start. I'm very surprised that it's gotten to this point. To me, this is a 2-year deal at 3.5, 3.75, something like that. How is this deal not come together in that range yet? I really don't understand. So, I mean, maybe the Zary camp thinks that he is a $4.5 million player. They see what Morgan Frost got on his deal. They see what Marco Rossi got. They think that Zary's, in that type of range. And the Flames are saying, no, you're a $3 or $3.5 million player. That's kind of what it feels like. And if you're the Zary camp, it's just okay, sign the deal, sign your 2-year, $3.5 million deal, get to camp, and have an unbelievable season. And then all of a sudden you put yourself in a position where you can start having those discussions about signing a big-time long-term contract. That's what makes sense to me. I am shocked that it's gotten to this point, because I think from the outside, it feels like such an easy contract negotiation. It just feels like such an easy number to agree to. But it just hasn't happened for some reason. So, like I said, it doesn't really matter when it gets signed, as long as it's before training camp. Then then I think you're going to be fine if you're a Flames fan and if you're the team. So that's another one. Get that one done. Do you understand like what the holdup is here? Like, I just really don't get it. I don't understand how it gets to this point on September 1st and he's not signed.
Yeah, I don't get it either. And I'm a big fan of Connor Zary, but if his ask is what's holding this up, he needs to look at a bigger picture here, because if he's not on the ice, there's two things. One, you're coming off a big injury, a knee injury. You've had 2 knee injuries last year. You need to get on that ice, make sure you're strong and healthy enough that be on that knee, that you're ready and you're up to speed for the start of the regular season so you don't get injured again. And 2, there's 14 forwards for 12 spots. If you're not at camp, you're that 13th or 14th forward. You're not one of the 12. And I know a lot of people are going to scoff at that, being, no, this guy's an automatic play. Is he? If he doesn't show up to camp and he's not ready to go, he's not going to be in the starting lineup. He's not going to play. And so you run into a whole ton of other issues if you're not ready to go and you're not at camp here. So if your ask is holding up camp, well, concede a little bit now and make the Flames pay you later. Just what you said, Robert. Come into camp, be unbelievable, be undeniable, be the answer to the questions on the top line for the Flames. Show this team that, hey, I am a $6 million player now, or I'm $6.5 million player now. Hell, I'm a $7 million player because I've scored 25 goals now and I've shown you that I can play at the top level here. That's the mindset that I would personally have as a hockey player. I'll take a little bit less now as a RFA, but when you're coming up to give me UFA numbers and I'm taking my UFA years away, I'm getting that all back and a little bit more. And that's the mindset I think these younger players need to have now. They'll pay you if you earn it. We've seen it. We've seen it over. Matt Coronado got it. He earned it, but he showed up and he showed what he was worth. And he went and he took the opportunity that was given to him and ran with it. I think Connor Zary needs to keep in mind, you're coming off that knee injury, and there's a lot of competition at camp this year. Be at camp and be ready to go. So I'm with you. That needs to be signed before they get to training camp.
And I know, I'm saying, I can't believe Connor Zary won't sign that, but at the same time, so say he's looking for $4 million and the Flames are looking at $3.5 on a 2-year deal. It's $1 million difference for a young man. For a 23 or 24-year-old, $1 million over 2 years it's a lot of money. So I understand, what he's doing and why he's trying to push to earn, your $4.5 million. But at the same time, it's just the market, because of the 2 seasons you've had, you haven't played 2 full NHL seasons yet. You haven't been over half a point per game, because of what you've shown at the NHL level. It's clear that you're not a $4 million player at this point in time. So it makes sense why the Flames are where they are. It makes sense why Zary's pushing for what he wants, but they need to come together. I think this one's really weird. This is a crazy contract negotiation for a guy where it's so obvious what he's worth. It's so obvious. It's a 2-year, $3.75 million deal. It's just, I think it's obvious, and the fact that they haven't come together on it yet is kind of weird. It's a little bit concerning that it's September 1st and they still haven't signed. And yeah, man, hopefully he doesn't hold out. Hopefully he's in camp, because that'd be a really tough way to start your next season, coming off a couple bad injuries, right? Come in, like you said, be undeniable, earn a spot in the top 6, become a 50, 60-point player, then you can really cash in, right? So just get this freaking thing done. I don't get it. Get it done. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, once again, Robert, you and I have found a way to turn a summer podcast into over an hour.
I don't know how we're doing this.
I think
there's something wrong with us.
There is something very wrong with us that we can talk Flames in the middle of August and September and make it go an hour long. But we appreciate all those who stick with us and listen to our podcast and make this all possible. Robert, what's coming up from you next on flamesnation.ca, and where can the folks find you and your work here?
I'm out of ideas. I need hockey back.
We just talked for an hour on ideas.
I need hockey for social media content. I need some hockey back. We need to start covering some games again. But no, yeah, follow Flames Nation, follow at Ring of Fire CGY on X, and yeah, man, let's get this season going. I'm getting pretty excited here.
Just another reason for Connor Zary to sign, just to give Robert something to write about, please.
Oh God, yeah.
You can follow me at VintageJohnny84 across your social media platforms. And of course, the show is Red Mile Rundown on those same platforms. Thank you so much for making us a part of your podcast rotations. Enjoy the Labor Day game, or hopefully you enjoyed the Labor Day game, I should say. Enjoy the NFL kickoff this week as well. Go Chiefs, and we'll see you next week here on the Red Mile Rundown.